Hi everyone and welcome to the first part of the tutorial for Pagebluk, an Alip Ba Ta original. And I hope I'm pronouncing the title right. As always, a quick thank you to the top tier patrons first. Only the first two parts of the tutorial will be released on YouTube. For full access to the whole archive, please check out my Patreon page. This is the second tune by Mr. Ba Ta I'm taking apart, and it is something special. After the completely unexpected response to the CT43 videos, I asked quite a few people in the comments for suggestions on other original songs by Mr. Ba Ta. And I got a lot of responses, so thank you for that. I went and listened to each song that was put forward, and it took me about 10 seconds into this tune that I decided I was going to give it a try. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This song is hard to play, and I mean really hard. It isn't difficult because of the usual reasons. There are no extremely difficult chord shapes, nor are there any fast runs you have to get down. But the entire tune is incredibly delicate. The mix of left and right hand harmonics make for an enchanting soundscape, but it also takes lots of time, practice and determination to get even close to how Mr. Ba Ta makes it sound. Don't let the casual attitude in his original video fool you. This is master level guitar playing. So no excuses for this video. This is aimed at advanced players, and you should at least be able to play cascading harmonics with a fair amount of control. But I really hope you give the song a try. It is one of the most heartfelt pieces of music I've ever heard. As you can tell from the music itself, the word Pagebluk refers to the pandemic and the emotions connected to it, like pain, suffering, and in the end, the loss of someone dear. Last side note, since Mr. Ba Ta doesn't register his music officially, I'm going to include on-screen tabs again. If this ever becomes a problem in terms of copyright, then the video will be removed and replaced with a version without these tabs. But you'll see, they really help. Okay, so that intro didn't scare you away, we can start playing now. The guitar is in an alternate tuning, and a strange one this time. I think it's based on an open G tuning with one string dropped down a half step. So an open G tuning would be D, G, D, G, B, D. Now, in this tuning, you drop down the G string a half step to F sharp, and you get D, G, D, F sharp, B, D. Strange tuning, but really efficient and effective in this tune. You'll see in a second. Mr. Ba Ta plays with really long fingernails, which helps to give the harmonics a really crystal clear attack and bell-like tone. I'm not using fingernails, I never do. So it is not essential, but you will notice in a second that using fingernails will help to give you a more prominent and clear tone for those harmonics. That being said, no more delays. Let me try and play through the first section of the verse. If that isn't mind-blowing, I don't know what is. Let's just dive straight in. There is so much to say about this thing. We start with harmonics, natural harmonics at the 12th fret. Using the ring finger, D string, G string, B string. Just to be clear, throughout the rest of the tutorial, I'm just going to refer to the different strings as if they were in standard tuning. So E string, A string, D string, G string, B string, E string. And I'm not always going to refer them as the low D string, the G string in the alternate tuning. It's probably just going to make it easier for everybody. So D string, G string, B string, all on the 12th fret, and then we're going to move to the 19th fret. Harmonics on the 19th fret will always be played with the picking hand. In this case, pointing the index finger and plucking with the ring finger underneath the index finger on the G string. That's the harmonic on the 19th fret. Now, I might be stating the obvious for a lot of people, but this song is in a bar of 3. So if you want to count along, or if you're not certain about your, let's say, your timing and your sense of rhythm in this song, you always have to count to 3. So if I count along with that upbeat and that first bar, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That is what you get when you count along. So in this song, most of the time, not everywhere, but I'm going to specify when it changes, you count to 3 and not to 4. Just take note of that. And then index finger on the 19th fret on the D string, and we're going to use the pinky across the 12th fret on the G string, B string, and E string. Nothing too difficult yet, so you pluck the harmonic on the high E string together with the bass note on the D string. G string, B string, G string, just up and down. So all while that bass note on the 9th fret rings out, E string, G string, B string, G string. If your technique is good enough, you can just lay down the pinky and you don't have to move anything while playing those harmonics. Again, harmonic on the 12th fret with the pinky. Now we're heading with the middle finger for the 11th fret on the A string. Another harmonic at the high E string and another harmonic on the G string. That's the first bar. Together with that pickup line. And doesn't that just grab your ear straight away? On to the next bar. We're dropping down the bass line 1 fret to the 10th fret. We're adding the first fret note on top, 11th fret. High E string, ring finger, 11th fret, D string, middle finger, and again you're going to use the pinky to play a few harmonics. This is the picking pattern. E string together with the A string, D string, and then a harmonic on the 12th fret B string. And back to the bass note on the D string. You let go of everything. Index finger to the 9th fret on the low E string, pinky 12th fret, harmonic on the G string. And you're not just holding down the 9th fret, you're going to slide down, not towards a certain destination, but just as you move to the next chord. So if you move to the next chord, don't just let go of the bass note, you slide down and transfer to the other fingers. You'll see what I mean in a second. Just that one bar. And you will slide down. Let's connect that to the other bars. Next chord. So as you can see, I slide down, but it's basically sliding down with the index finger until I can grab the first few notes of the next chord, which is ring finger, 9th fret on the A string, and middle finger, 8th fret on the B string. In a second, we are going to add the pinky to the 9th fret on the D string as well, and the index finger to the 8th fret on the high E string. Looks a bit weird, but this is necessary because if you slide down, there is actually no other way to make the transition into that chord. So you slide down from the 9th fret and you grab the 8th fret and the 9th fret with the ring finger and the middle finger first before adding everything else. Let's have a look at that bar. We're starting with the A string and B string together, adding the pinky on the D string, adding the index finger on the high E string, and heading back towards the D string. And now we remove the middle finger from this chord shape and we pluck with the picking hand harmonic on the 12th fret. Now you're going to start jumping up and down with the picking hand. It's going to get tricky soon now. See? So removing the middle finger, picking the harmonic with the picking hand. If you don't remove the middle finger, there won't be a harmonic there. So watch out for that. And then on to the next chord. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's add everything back together. Which is the next chord. As you can see, again, not too easy. Index finger, middle finger, 7th fret on the A string. 7th fret on the B string, ring finger, 9th fret on the D string, pinky, 9th fret on the E string. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not really sure why Mr. Ba Ta didn't just go for a bar here. Maybe it's because he wants to let one of those harmonics ring out a little bit longer, but I don't see any real reason why you couldn't play the exact same chord shape, 7th fret, 9th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, while using a bar. So if you struggle with this chord shape, it's not an easy one, feel free to just replace it by using a bar. The picking pattern isn't too difficult. A string and B string together, then D string and E string separately. Again, you don't have to put all of the fingers down straight away, put these two down first, and then you can add the other fingers as you go. Or just go for the bar. I think it sounds exactly the same. Then a sliding trick, you're going to play a harmonic at the 19th fret while playing a bass note or a melody note at the 8th fret on the D string. And slide that up to the 11th fret. And as you perform the slide, you have to make sure that harmonic keeps ringing out. As I told you, it's all incredibly delicate in this tune. So let's add that to the chord. That is also exactly the timing. 1, 2, 3, and sliding up, and then you end up on the first beat of the next bar. Again, maybe one time with the bar, but it sounds exactly the same. And then on to the next chord shape, which is again the first chord shape. Let me try and play those first 4 bars all the way through. Next bar, you start again, 9th fret D string, we've done that before. Again, harmonic high E string. To the G string, and now instead of going for another easy harmonic at the B string, we're going to pinch another one. So E string, G string, 19th fret on the B string, again using the index finger and the ring finger. Everything else is on the 12th fret. So really slowly. You pluck the bass note on the first beat together with the harmonic at the high E string. E string, G string, pinching, 19th fret on the B string, G string, E string, G string. A lot of jumping. Now it's not possible anymore to just lay down the pinky, otherwise you're not going to get that 19th fret. So now you have to jump over the B string all the way while that harmonic on the 19th fret rings out as long as possible. That's the full bar. A lot of jumping around with the pinky. All the way up to the 14th fret now. Now I'm going to admit I am changing one fingering here. Mr. Ba Ta plays a guitar with a cutaway. which makes the next fingering a little bit easier and almost next to impossible to replicate exactly using a guitar without a cutaway. Mr. Ba Ta goes for middle finger, 14th fret on the A string, ring finger, 14th fret on the D string, and then pinky, 14th fret on the high E string. That is doable. But then you have to play a pull-off with the pinky to the 12th fret, which is nearly impossible to do without that cutaway up here. So I tend to replace those two strings on the bottom with a small bar, pressing down with the middle finger on both the A string and the D string. Again, as always, see what works for you. This is the picking pattern. And I'm really hurting my fretting hand right now. So you start with A string together with a high E string to the D string, and then pull off on the high E string from the 14th fret to the 12th fret. Back to the D string, and then a harmonic at the 19th fret and back to the A string. This really hurts. So what I'm doing is I'm using just a small bar up here. That cutaway makes that high chord shape a little bit easier. So I'm doing this small bar across two strings. And the only thing that I have to drop is I have to straighten that bar, only pressing down on the A string once I want to play that harmonic. So I am dropping something in order to be able to play this part on a non-cutaway guitar. And I sometimes even find myself focusing on the A string mostly at the end, because I do have to drop that note on the D string. So I'm kind of playing it a little bit more fast and loose with this section. D string, pull off, and then I stick mostly to the A string. So it isn't too apparent that I'm dropping that D string when I raise that bar. One note that is being changed just because I don't see any alternative if you're using a non-cutaway guitar. As always, see what works for you. One more time, that full bar. My method with the bar and with focusing mostly on the A string at the end. Then we drop down the middle finger from the 14th fret to the 13th fret, and we add a bar on the 12th fret, D string, G string, B string, A string, B string, D string, G string, B string, and then you let go of the bar. We're going to move the picking hand over the sound hole to where the 24th fret should be, or would be, if you had one. I have this sound hole pickup, which luckily sits exactly at that point. So I can aim for this spot and know that that is where I'm going to get a really clear harmonic, right at the edge of the pickup. If you don't have one of those sound hole pickups, then it's going to be a bit of trial and error in the beginning, but it's roughly about, let's say, 2 to 3 centimeters or 1 inch for people who are using that system off of the edge of the fretboard. That is where you should be looking. You're going to play 3 harmonics on the D string, G string, and B string. Now, as if it's not enough, you're going to add a harmonic bass note at that last note as well. So you're going to play a harmonic at the 24th fret on the B string and play a harmonic with the index finger on the 12th fret on the A string. Crazy stuff, I know. So harmonic up here, thumb picks the bass note at the same time. Let's try to get that all together. It sounds so cool. You might have noticed in some versions I tend to pick those first 2 harmonics with the thumb and the index finger, which is a habit of doing this that comes from playing them with a thumb pick. It makes a lot more sense if you play them all using the index finger and the ring finger. So index finger, ring finger on D string, G string, and then B string, and you just have to add the thumb to that last bass note. Otherwise, you're going to play thumb, thumb, and then have to switch the thumb to the bass note and add the ring finger. It makes more sense to just play ring finger, and then add the thumb to the bass note. Mr. Ba Ta just plays the full pickup section again, along with a bass note. So harmonic 12th fret, harmonic 12th fret, and then on the B string, together with the bass note, 11th fret on the A string. Which is basically the same pickup line we played in the intro, only with an extra bass note. And then straight away into that pickup line and back into the repeat of the verse. Let me try and play those last 4 bars all the way through. This is a really tricky section. Here we go, last 4 bars. And back into a familiar chord. Now that upper section is really difficult to play on a non-cutaway guitar. One final piece of advice that I can offer: when you're playing bar chords, often we have the tendency to sort of roll away in that direction to make life a little bit easier. In this case, on the 12th fret, I'm very much rolling away in that direction with the finger, really pressing down on this edge rather than on this edge. That makes that bar on the 12th fret just a little bit more doable than when you're trying to play it in the standard way. So I hope it helps. In this direction, really pressing down like that. That seems to make it just a little bit easier, but still it remains tricky. Now let me try and play those first 8 bars all the way through. Straight into what is basically a repeat of the first 4 bars with a small twist at the end. Well, so I'm going to shut myself up there. I wasn't planning on splitting the tutorial off of this section, but it makes sense to do so. You now have a taste of what this tune involves. If you like it, then master these 8 bars before moving on to the next part of the tutorial. The next 8 bars of the verse are similar, so you'll be able to get through them a lot faster if you can play this part already really well. I hope to see you there.